Hello, hello. Hello, hello. We're getting. Ooh. Everybody, we're getting to get started. If y'all want to take a seat. There's drinks in the back if you want some water.
I'm sure Jason was sitting.
Hi, everybody. Thanks so much for coming tonight. This is the January IF Talk. And my name is Lori Medina, and I am Mayor Cheney's Chief of Staff, and I am so lucky to be involved in this Inspire Frisco project that we have, and we just appreciate y'all coming so much. Just a couple of very quick announcements, and then we'll get to the main show. Next month, our next IF Talk is February 13th, and we have David Gorman going to be coming. He was involved in a healthcare staffing related company, took it to market, exited very successfully in the B range, if you know what I mean. So he's going to be our guy next month that's going to come and talk, and hopefully we'll learn some nuggets of wisdom from him, what he's done. So he's going to be here February 13th, and immediately following, just like tonight, we'll have our networking social gathering. And tonight, after tonight, when we finish, the networking part will actually, the adult beverages will be in the entry area. So you have to go in there to get them. So anyway, but just if you want us to hang out and stay and chat and talk, just like y'all were before, you're welcome to hang out till 7 or even later if Mike and John keep the lights on for you. So, and then every Wednesday, we have free mentoring here at Inspire Park. So if you're interested in signing up for any free mentoring, please, where is Mike? There he is. So talk to Mike and sign up with him, and you can receive free mentoring. And if you have friends that aren't here tonight that they would like that, please tell them about that. We'll be spreading the word more and more about that. January 31st, we have our first little micro session that UNT is putting on, and this one is on intellectual property. It's going to be a 3-hour session on intellectual property and why it's important for entrepreneurs. It's $45 per person. You'll get a completion certificate that says you finished this. We'll be sending out an email to everybody. If you signed up through the website or signed up through Eventbrite tonight, you'll get an email that just tells you about that. So that'll be available to you. January 31st will be from 5 to 8 o'clock. We are moving along very quickly with all of our development of our Inspire Frisco, and we're going to have the website ready by the end of this month, and it's going to have a lot more information about who we are, what we're doing, what our objectives are, and you'll be seeing a lot more social media coming out, and so just be kind of watching for all that stuff because we're real excited. We're working very hard on it. Last thing, January 24th, Tech Titans, because we're so cool, Tech Titans want to be here. And so Tech Titans, they're going to use our space here at Inspire Frisco for a blockchain event. So if you want to participate and attend their blockchain event on January 24th, just go to the Tech Titan website and you can learn more about it. So now, I'm very excited that I get to introduce Mr. Jason Taylor. Jason is the founder and CEO of Code Authority. He is the creator of Code Launch. And so we're very excited because Jason is a part of the Inspire Frisco founder team. And anyway, he's going to be our moderator tonight, and he will introduce our special guest. But thank you all so much.
Thank you, Lori. So yeah, I got to meet these nice people last summer, and so I would like to intro them a little bit. Megan was a PE teacher for 7 years, and a phys ed grad, right? Grad student?
Yeah.
Yep, and she's also a super mom. And Matt Sharp, former police officer and detective for a long time, spent 10 years at a tech startup called Cosley, which you may have heard of, in Kentucky, and so he has a lot of startup and tech experience, and then also he's the co-founder of KidStrong, started in Kentucky. And so with that, I'd like one of you guys to tell us what KidStrong is.
Okay, so if you haven't heard about KidStrong, we're a child development program, We work with children 13 months to 8 years. We focus on physical, mental, and social development across. Our goal is to develop the whole child. We do that through ninja training, some fitness, some gymnastics, and a little bit of multi-sport. But our main goal is not just, the physical part, but it's also really big into character. So we'll do anything from teaching a child how to do some pull-ups, flip tires, climb, do the monkey bars, but at the same time, they're also learning how to be a good person. An example that we like to use that the parents love whose children are in our program, we teach children how to look an adult in the eye and shake an adult's hand. I'm sure, yeah.
This is a class favorite.
Yeah, so we just noticed from me being a teacher for 7 years, and then we have 3 children, ages 1, 3, and 4. I know, yeah, right.
Really slowed down there.
I know. And we're trying to adopt too, so I know, we're crazy. So we just know, we know the importance of teaching those character skills. We've all been around children, and they don't know how to look people in the eye anymore. Half of them don't even know what a handshake is. So every class, they have to give a handshake. Our 13-month-olds shake hands, and we go up to 8 years old. They shake an adult's hand, and they have to introduce themselves and look somebody in the eye. So we go from physical, mental, character development. And Matt can kind of explain.
So we originally built it for our daughter when she was
15
months old. I had some experience with class-led physical fitness where you have like a really good coach come in and coach people versus kind of like an open gym model. And I just really came to appreciate like quality coaching. And when we were taking our daughter to places, there was like kids that were running the program and no one really knew what they were doing, and the places smelled like feet and vomit. And it just wasn't, there had to be, like we always figured like there has to be something better. And some of the companies I've been involved with, it was this, hey, there's this issue, let's solve it for ourselves, and there's probably other people like us that have the same issue. And I think the goal from the beginning was like, let's talk to experts in all of these child development fields, everything from like cognitive development to physical fitness and physical development and character development, to like come up with this like whole child curriculum. And if we can have a child once a week, like what is the most like nutrient dense class we can have to give that child and those parents the ingredients to like have that child be a healthy adult, and just the life skills is a huge part of it. But Megan was really like the driving force when we would take Ella. She was like, we have to get Ella in something, because like when she would teach these kids, they were very socially awkward. Kids don't go outside very much anymore. They don't talk to other kids. They don't talk to people other than their parents. Yeah. There's a lot of anxiety that they have socially. There's a huge lack of confidence with kids. So it was really like, if we could take the best of all these disciplines and all these experts and like build this like whole child curriculum, like what would that look like? And that was kind of the genesis of it.
Yeah, and there are things to do with kids everywhere. There were things to do with kids in Lexington, but those things weren't what we were looking for our children. If we were going to spend money, we didn't really want it to be like a play date, so we were like, well, this isn't really what we want, but what we wanted didn't exist. So Matt owns some gyms in Kentucky, and he looked at me and he said, why don't we just build our own? We'll just create our own. And I was 7 months pregnant at the time with our second child, and
it's a perfect time.
I'm like, what are you talking about? We're getting ready to have this baby, you know? And one of the things that I will never, ever, ever forget him telling me, I will never forget it. He looked at me and he said, there's never going to be a perfect time to start. He said, because after you have the baby, it's, well, we have a baby, or we have a second baby. Well, now the baby's 6 weeks old. Well, now the baby's 5 months old. And he was right. And then he's like, and then you're going to get pregnant again. And he was right. I did get pregnant again. But there's never, like, if you have an idea, like, there's never going to be a good time to start. So just go for it. And I'm so glad that he told me that, and he, you know, just talked me down off of the hormones. And we did. We got started in the back of a warehouse, and we started with 20 kids.
It was very ghetto.
It was super ghetto.
Yeah.
So,
and that's what we're looking for as parents in a child service, is something that's really ghetto.
But it is.
But you
it was.
succeeded anyway.
Yeah, it was ghetto.
And so I thought when I got to know you guys, one of the most interesting things is how you guys came to Frisco from Kentucky. So share that story with us.
Yeah. It was your friend, your business.
So at Cosley, we worked with around like 3,500 like small businesses, and there was an investment group in North Dallas that were opening up some franchises here. And we were working with one of the guys that was in charge of marketing there. And I remember we just became friends. We ended up working together a lot on some of their locations. And I remember him asking me one time, he's like, what is this KidStrong thing? Like, I see him on Facebook. Because we had just got started. I think we had like 30 kids in it.
Yeah.
And he was like, what is this KidStrong thing? And I was like, well, it's this idea we have. It's very like young. And I've been part of startups, and I know like when things are super young. This was like literally parents park by a dumpster and walk up a service ramp to get into the children's area. So it's very no sexy here. And I was like, it's very early. He's like, you got to come to Frisco. He's like,
I was coaching basically all the classes at this point, and then he would come after his full-time job to help. So. And
he kept talking about Frisco. And I was like, man, I've never heard of Frisco. Like, I have no idea where this place is. And I don't know, like he called, I think over the next 9 months, he would call me once a week and say, you need to come to Frisco, you got to come check this place out. And eventually it just kind of wore us down. And as the idea started to progress, like we started to feel a little better about kind of putting a little more kind of on the table with it. And I remember we came down and visited, and we were here like a week. Mm-hmm. And I had never seen so many families in like the square miles as Frisco.
There was just kids everywhere.
There were kids everywhere.
Like all hours of the night.
And that began this conversation to come down here, but kind of a little bit crazy part of the story is they found a space for us. We flew down again with all the kids, which don't ever fly with 3 kids. It's miserable. We flew down, we found a space by the railroad where we're at now. And it was really rough. I mean, it was super rough. But we came from humble beginnings, so we could kind of see something there. And the original plan was we were going to come down, help open one. We were going to stay like a month and like go home. Like that was the plan. And during that trip, we saw the space and we just kind of looked at each other, and within like 3 days, we had put a deposit down on a lease on a house. We had found a preschool, put a deposit down. We flew home. On the way home, called a real estate agent. We sold our house 5 days later. We sold a car. We turned the lease in early. We donated half of our stuff. There was a refugee family that just moved to Lexington, and we were downsizing. So that really timed up. And I think 2 weeks later, we were back in Frisco, like living in Frisco. And it was a big leap, you know, and I've been part of some leaps, but this was probably the craziest leap I've been part of. But that's how we got to Frisco. We've been here 9 months. 9 months now.
Yeah. You gotta have, I don't know if anyone's super religious in here, but it boils down to some faith, right? You gotta have faith in what you're doing, and just pray that, you know, it's gonna be okay.
Well, I think one of the things that helped me too, if you guys have heard the story of like the Wright brothers, I think they were in Ohio, and they were building airplanes in Ohio, and they were just like tearing these things up every day because like it wasn't the right place to be doing. Like there wasn't a lot of wind, the ground was really hard, so when they would crash, everything would be destroyed. And they literally studied the wind patterns of the United States and found, I think it's Kitty Hawk. I'm probably off here. Is it Kitty Hawk?
That's right.
Yeah, so Kitty Hawk, and they basically figured out that that was where the most wind was in the United States, and that the grass was this like sandy, soft grass, so it was really good for like landing and not destroying like a week's worth of work. And just, they basically said, we have to move everything there. Because like our idea can't grow here, like we have to move there because that's where the idea is going to take off. And I remember when we came to Frisco, like I just had that like story playing in my head, like that's kind of our Kitty Hawk. I'm glad I got the name right, not the wrong city. But there was just so many kids. There were parents that we really felt would appreciate the quality of what we do.
And we had a team too. We had a team that really believed in KidStrong and really wanted us to come down. And that always helps when you have like this team of people who, you know, support you and believe in your idea. It always helps a little bit.
We also wouldn't come unless there were local people involved.
Yeah.
We weren't just going to like plant this thing and be strangers. So we had to recruit like a local team with families.
And they all have their kids in the program and stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then we met you not too long after that.
Well, yeah, so I just want to say, since it's only been 9 months, I can still say welcome to Frisco.
Yeah.
We're really glad you came. And
It's 9 months, right?
9 months, yeah.
Yeah.
so what are some of the cool things that have happened to you since you got to Frisco?
Has anybody ever heard of code launch?
That was a softball right there.
No, that was really cool. That was like kind of right. I remember you guys talked about it.
Well, you were getting interviewed.
Yeah.
So Jace was getting interviewed on a show, and Sean,
Tyler Klutz and Sean's radio
yeah.
show.
So Tyler was one of our partners here, and we met him through the guy I was telling you guys about. And it's an internet radio show, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
It's streaming radio.
Yeah, streaming radio. So I remember scrolling through Facebook, and I saw like Sean interviewing this guy, and just I love Sean, but I probably watched like 5 minutes of these things total. And they were talking to Jason, and I remember like I just like clicked on it and we listened. And
Well, I'd text you too.
yeah, and it was just this thing where it was like this event, and it's like you could pitch these tech ideas, and it was kind of like Shark Tank. And I remember like I remember calling Sean right after. I was like, "Who is this Jason guy? What is this code launch?" And he's like, "It's just really cool. It's this local company. You should apply for it." Because in the back of our heads, and I have a little bit of tech background, our biggest constraint is location. So like we have this really cool curriculum, but like unless you can drive to a location, it's really hard to
Reach everyone.
yeah, it's really, and we get like emails from people all over the world who want to like have access to the curriculum. We can't, so we've always had this idea in the back of our head of like developing the curriculum for online use. And Sean was like, "Yeah, you should really apply." And I remember I went home and I started applying, and then Megan, you called or text me.
I did, yeah.
She's
Something.
like, "Hey, you should apply for that code launch."
There's this thing
I was like,
that
I
we
just
really
submitted the application because it was only a couple days.
Yeah, I was on that shoot 2 days before the deadline.
Yeah.
And he said to me, he's like, "Has anybody ever won from Frisco?" And I said, "No. In fact, I don't think we even had a finalist from Frisco. So if you're listening to this right now and you're from Frisco, I really would like to look at your deal."
Yeah.
And then, next thing I know,
Yeah.
you got your mock-ups. And that's what really caught my eye.
Yeah.
This guy has a really good eye for UI, UX, and visual brand design.
Yes.
And if you ever go to the KidStrong store, is that what you call it? Store? Location?
Yeah.
You'll walk in and the whole thing is perfectly themed around their colors and their logo and everything. It looks like a business that's way farther along than in its
We put on a good
second
show.
or third year.
Yeah.
And if you mess up the branding or the font, don't let him see it.
Right.
Yeah.
That's
It's
how you have to
it's not okay to mess the font up. There is a font.
We're very protective.
Yeah.
So yeah, you guys wanted to develop some technology
Mm-hmm.
to distribute your curriculum to users all over the world. And so we thought that was a good match. And so yeah, we're just really, really glad to have a Frisco winner
It was a great experience
in
for
our
us.
6th year.
Yeah, because we had this thing on our roadmap for like maybe a couple years down the road. And one of the really cool things about Code Launch was it really like pushed us to think through the idea of like, hey, if this could happen, what would it look like? And we had to think through it like, this was like in a couple of days. We had to like put this together. And I remember calling our designer, I'm like, hey, we need like to look like a much bigger company, like in 48 hours. So let's throw some stuff together. And we stayed up and put together some pretty nice mock-ups, I think, because we brought them to the first session.
Yep.
And it was a long talk, and I remember we left and we were like, "This is probably not going to happen," but it was a great experience, and it helped us think through this thing.
I think we went and had a beer after.
We did it at the Star.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Matt's like, we gotta get a drink.
It all happened very
Yeah.
quickly. Yeah. And then Code Launch happened, and it was an awesome.
I think one of the things, Jason, that and I don't think I told you this, but when we were sitting there reading with you, and you were like, well, you guys are kind of like, I don't know the wording, but you were basically saying like, we're like this business, remember? You were like, you're like big business compared to the other people. And I was like, we are not a big business.
Right.
And it's just, I don't know, from our end.
We look like a bigger business.
Yeah. I just know like what we went through and what we're still going through to grow. And when you were saying that, I was like, no, we're really not. Like,
Well, we actually sort of redefined the rules to let you guys into the finals. Because we had never had somebody apply with an established business, customers, revenue, a new and unique idea. That was the key that let us decide to do that. And that needed technology to scale that business. So before that moment, it had been all people with a new app concept or a new SaaS product concept, and they wanted to, or they had gotten some far along with something and it had gone really badly, and they wanted a professional company to help them out of the mess they were in. And so that was the first time we ever had anybody that already had a post-embryonic stage business. Yeah. So now we have a whole category for that type of applicant next year.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, I think one of the things that helps us, or helped us adapt to that, is we're not really setting out to have like locations for kids. We're setting out to develop a whole child curriculum and help as many parents and kids as possible. And if you can come to a physical location, amazing. We'll have the best coach. You'll have the coolest equipment. The music's always amazing. Like, that's awesome. But if you can't come to location, we want to be able to like provide those parents with that curriculum and give parents all over the world access to experts. And technology is just a great way to connect those two people. And I think that's why we were able to kind of like fluidly go from the location to the tech side, because we don't really see ourselves as like a location or a tech company. We really want to develop this like curriculum and then get it to as many parents as possible. Technology is the best way to do that at scale. So.
Well, speaking of locations, I do believe that you are working on a new one. Is that right?
Yes.
Tell us about that. So
Grapevine is set to open February 15. So that'll be our third location. It's going to be in Grapevine Mills Mall. So if you guys know anybody, pre-sale.
Yeah.
Pre-sale reg.
I like the partnership that you put together there. I think there's a really good lesson to be learned in any sort of business development for any business at any stage, including my own. When Matt told me about the natural fit partnership you found. So tell us about that.
So, in my when I've had other businesses and stuff, I always try to look for, or we always try to look for ways in which like that everybody's interests are aligned. So if you can find somebody that you feel a need for them and they feel a need for you, it just really helps kind of like grease the wheels for some really good partnerships. So for us, partnerships, and at my other company, like partnerships were like key for us. And we would look the reason that the mall worked out so well is I don't think there's been a freestanding mall built in the last maybe 15 or 20 years. There's a lot of more of these open air malls now. So what malls are doing is they're bringing in attractions and amenities to bring people to the mall, and then those people will shop while they're there. So you're starting to see a lot of malls put movie theaters, aquariums, Legoland, things like that. So the Fieldhouse USA is a group that is starting to work with malls, and they're doing end caps, and they have like 10 basketball courts. They run tournaments, and teams rent them out. So the one in Grapevine, I think they saw 1.6 million people through the doors last year, which is a lot of kids and people. So what Grapevine does is they need amenities for those parents and those kids who are coming to practice. So if you have an older kid that's going to basketball practice, you have a 2-year-old that's
running around crazy,
like turning garbage cans over and falling off the bleachers. And so Fieldhouse always wants these things so that a family can take, we always call it like one car ride. So one car trip, ride to one trip to the place, and everybody has an activity, and then you can all leave. Because if you're parents and you have kids and there's 3 car seats, it's a nightmare to like go anywhere. So if you have to take one kid to one place and then put 3 kids in the car and then snacks, and you have to take, like, it's a huge mess. So they're looking for more of these amenities where like families will come, and it became like a really good fit for us and them, because they didn't have anything for kids in our age group. And a lot of the age groups they work with, like, we don't work with. So it just became a really good fit for us, and they basically need places like us. And for us to go in there, it was a really good deal for us, because they already have the space. When you partner with somebody like that, they're already paying the lease, they already pay all the bills. So anything that they can bring in that's an amenity is a good fit for them.
And most importantly, they clean the bathroom.
Yeah.
It's the little things, guys. It's the little things.
We don't have to mess with the bathroom.
There's no bathroom.
No bomb.
That sounds like a classic win-win synergy, not unlike UNT and Code Launch. I think those 2 brands really go well together. It reminds me. So, what's the next big thing for KidStrong?
Well, we would love, we got to open Grapevine.
Right.
And then we would love to maybe open one McKinney, Allen area. So, again, if anyone knows anybody in the McKinney, Allen area, nothing?
And the biggest challenge is finding the location, physical location.
Yes.
So,
It's all Frisco.
What makes Frisco better?
I think we want to try to open 4 to 5 this year.
Yeah.
That's on the roadmap, and then we'd like to get the app. So one of the good things about Code Launch is it really got us to a point where you can get really smart people interested, because a lot of people like to visually see something. And it just gave us traction. It just gave us the means to kind of go to some really smart people and say, hey, we won this thing. Here's what they built for us. What do you think about this? And it's really opened some doors up for us. So we'd like to get the app probably about mid-year to like an MVP stage. And if we can show some traction or engagement on the app's good, then I think we would probably try to raise some money at that point and like really build the app out in parallel with the locations. We really like and who knows what's going to happen. We plan really detailed a quarter.
Mm-hmm.
After that, it gets much fuzzier because we look at data kind of to figure out where to go. But if we can show traction on the app, it gives us a really cool like parallel path to have locations that are areas where we can like perfect the curriculum. We can hire amazing coaches. We can work with the kids, and we can create all the content in like KidStrong locations and then push that out online to families that have the app. So we want to do that parallel path and kind of see what kind of catches fire, and then probably go that direction.
And as I mentioned, you're kind of a strong UI UX brand development guy. Tell us about your wardrobe strategy, which I've learned about since I've met you.
Well, I was going to wear a t-shirt, and my wife's Megan said that's too dressed down. So
he went with the baseball tee.
Baseball tee, yeah.
So, well, again, he's very picky with clothes.
Right.
As in I wear the same thing every day.
Yeah. Well,
that's
for
kind of
your
what I'm getting
business.
at. Is how many different shirts do you have in your closet?
I mean, they're all the same.
I have
Basically,
probably
they're all the
30 KidStrong shirts. And then
3 different styles of 30.
yeah, and then there's some other shirts that are for like at home.
So 2 things.
I have one pair of jeans. This is my jeans.
And my granny had to sew them up because
Yeah.
they split. And
Yeah.
we didn't go out and buy more.
No.
Um,
These are the only.
That's too good.
Right?
Yeah.
So a couple things. So same with the branding, how everything, when you walk in, everything is branded, and we don't buy 100% cotton shirts. It has to be the tri-blend. We don't when you get a shirt that's 100% cotton, we say that you go home and wash your car with it. So we only get the nice tri-blend shirts, even for the children. Our members get a shirt. It's tri-blend. It's super nice because they're gonna want to wear it.
That was a lesson I learned in another business: is if you give out stuff, if you give people stuff that they're going to throw away, that is not a really good use of the funds. So it's a small lesson, but we were selling a certain amount of shirts at one of our gyms, and they were terrible material for the shirts. And I remember going to the vendor and I was like, hey, what if we get like Next Level or like these really nice shirts? And I was like, what if we print on that? And he's like, oh, that's way too expensive. He's like, you never want to do that. He's like, you want to stick with these Gildans. If somebody loves Gildan, I'm sorry. They're like 50 cents a piece. And they have huge necks, too. No one likes them. Thanks, Rodrigo. So anyway, I went to him and I was like, well, how much more? He's like $4 more.
Yeah.
I was like, okay. And I remember polling like our community. I was like, hey, would you guys be willing to pay $5 more for like a really good shirt? And it was like unanimous.
Yeah.
And I remember we tripled like our apparel sales that year because we were selling shirts that people really wanted to wear. So we're nuts about the fabric.
One of the ways that we got our branding is because we both agreed that we wanted. What up, Grant? We wanted a brand that a dad would wear, right? So you see all these kid places and programs, and let's all be honest, there is a lot of women and a lot of moms that are in the building. So one of our main goals, we said we want a place where dads are going to love to come, and branding that a dad or a man would wear. And I think that I think Jason would agree that I think we got there.
Yeah.
So
I have worn mine to the gym a handful of times without any shame at all.
There you go.
Because you're a man's man. No shame.
Well, I think like brands have to. I think it's good. There's like the riches are in it. Like you have to pick a side.
Yeah.
So for us, like the name KidStrong, we waited a year to get it. We saved up money to buy it. It was expensive, but like it helped us like carve out a niche of like we really wanted strong in the name to attract the right type of customers and the right type of parents, because not every parent wants a stronger physically or mentally stronger kid, but the ones that do, like those are the ones we want to work with.
Yeah.
So we were very particular on the name, and then the logo doesn't have like smooth edges; it's like sharp edges, and
like a few colors. We
Yeah,
got a few colors.
yeah, and like one of the comps was we used to go to we went to other places, and there was a place in Lexington that was like Candy Mountain Dance Factory or something like that.
Candy
like,
Mountain Music.
Candy Mountain Music. Like no dad will ever wear a Candy Mountain like dance shirt, and ever. So we really wanted a place that dads were like looking forward to the kid going, or dads wanted to be there with the kid, because we didn't want, when we always went to places, it was literally just moms in the corner on their phones.
Yeah.
Because it was very like play date, and she didn't really want that. We wanted something that was more professional coaching, and we wanted dads to be part of the equation, because we really believe like if you don't win the family, like you don't win the war like with the kids.
Yeah.
If you just have one parent that likes you, then at some point there's going to be a discussion over the budget, and they might not win. But if both parents are in, We really feel that's the best way to win the kid.
Yeah, sometimes we'll have classes, and so for 3 and under, the parent has to kind of go through the class with the kid. There will be classes where every parent is a man. So win-win there. So all the dads are putting their kids through. I've had moms say that they've been like in arguments, like who's gonna take the kid today? And the dad's like, it's my turn, I want to take him. Because they just love coming. We have parents that buy our gear. So any shirt or sweatshirt that we sell, parents will buy them. Like we can't keep them on the racks. Like we have to keep reordering. We go through pre-sale with our shirts, and it's like, I don't know, you described it like once. It's just like, it's like an hour for the family. So the kid, the mom, and the dad, and sometimes the grandparents, they all come to class. They're all in the KidStrong gear, and it's just that it's like their time, and we'll just look at each other, and it's just so rewarding just to see the change that we're having.
I think one of the things we decided early on is like usually if there's like a problem, there's unique ways of solving that to like attract the right type of customers. So for us, and there's companies you can like look to that are doing that maybe in another area. So for us, we want to be like Pixar. So if no parent cares to like go to a Pixar movie, right? Because Pixar knows when they create that movie, if they do a really good job with it, mom and dad also want to go to the movie. They will sit through it. They'll enjoy it. It'll be a shared experience with the family. Like Incredibles was written for families. Like when they sit down to write that movie, there's a mom character, there's a dad character, and I feel like there's a ton of strategy behind that, like really smart. Because there are shows that like Ella will want to watch on YouTube that you couldn't pay me $1,000 to sit through 10 minutes of like somebody opening like toys. Like I don't want to see that. But Pixar did a really good job. So when we set out to create KidStrong, we were really like, how do we win the family? Like Pixar wins the family. Like how can we win the family? And there's all these like little things that you do to do that. So like in the bathrooms at our place, we
completely redid the bathroom because no mom wants to go in a nasty women.
We spent more money on the bathroom than probably anywhere else.
Nobody wants to go in a nasty bathroom, so our bathroom's always clean, and it's stacked with baby wipes and diapers and feminine products.
2 changing tables.
2 changing tables.
Because you want a parent to go in there and be like, oh, they get me. Like, these are my issues, these are my people. And there's just a lot of little touches, I think, when businesses do that, like the right customers. Like, for example, we let parents pick the music that's played in class.
Yeah. So each month they get to request songs, and those are played in the class. So no kid songs at all.
Yeah, if you guys as parents have ever went to a place that works with kids, the music makes you want to like take your eyes out, right? And the kids don't care, right? But in our place, you will hear
AC/DC,
Spice Girls,
Ozzy Osbourne made this time. Osbourne,
Copperhead Road for any rednecks in here somehow made the cut this month.
But the parents are like dancing around, liking it, and the moms are dancing. It's just a good time.
Well, I'm really impressed by the effort and level of detail you guys have put into your brand development strategy and who your customer is. And I think that reflects in the way you're hitting the target right in the middle. But I'm going to switch gears a little bit, and I'm going to ask you, Matt, have you read any good books recently?
Like specifically?
Do you have a favorite one?
The one I'm reading right now I really like is called The Messy Middle. I don't know if this was a leading question or if this is like a real...
It was a prearranged softball, Matt, but it's all right.
Oh, well, you have to remind me. I've just switched my books up.
There was one that you had a quote from or something that was really impactful on, I think it might have been in this kind of brand development space.
Building a story brand?
Maybe
That's the one that I was trying to tell you to talk about. You love building a story brand.
Yeah, so I have a weird strategy with books. I used to work with a lot of people that would read like tons and tons of books, and I would always ask them. It was like, oh, I read a book a day this month. I'm like, sweet. What did that one say? I have no idea. Like, what changed? I don't know, but it was like great, and everybody told me to read it. So I try to like read one book over and over and over again for a month. And because usually like when you'll read those books, you'll pull something new out like each time. And if you just fly through them, it's really hard. And one of the books that really drove a lot of what we do is building a story brand. It's a book by Donald Miller. And it's a guy that used to write novels, and now he helps businesses kind of learn how to tell their story. That's driven a lot of kind of how we look at the brand and how we tell the story. And some of his really, there's some really good things I think that come out of that book. And it's one of the things that we always talk about, like best products don't always win. Mm-hmm. It's the products that people understand that win. So if a business or a brand doesn't do a good job of telling their story, like nobody cares because it's just so much noise.
Yeah, it'll tune it out.
Yeah, so that definitely has had a big impact on us. And then the one I really like right now, this is not part of the question, but there's a book called The Messy Middle, and it's basically like you get really excited, there's an idea, and then right after you get started, you get like punched in the face with a sledgehammer. And then something good happens, and you're like so excited, and then you get punched in the face again.
Oh, this is so hard.
Yeah, and it's a really good book for kind of navigating what he calls like the messy middle, which is basically like from idea to like you finally make it. And this middle section is really about enduring the highs and lows and kind of going into it. I think it's called like embracing the suck. Mm-hmm. You just kind of like go into it knowing it's going to suck, and then it's going to be awesome, and then it's going to suck.
Again.
Yeah, and
good to great.
I've been in that stage for 17 years.
Yeah.
I think.
We're never going to get out of it.
Yeah, but even in the same day, you might get a lot of that. So I think it's good to like model companies and look for those books for inspiration, because owning a business is a very kind of lonely road, and Elon Musk always has this quote, it's staring into the abyss and eating glass. And it's like the abyss is because like you're probably going to fail. And eating glass means most of the stuff you work on is not that much fun. It's actually like, you don't get to work on the fun stuff, you just work on the problems. So there's a lot to that. So I think there's like the messy middle, like those books, and I think you got to surround yourself with people that are also doing the things you're doing for support. Because if not, it's a little crazy, and it's very up and down. Yeah.
All right, so one other thing I got to learn about Matt is that, since I've met him, is he's a Star Wars fan.
Huge.
Kind of like me, probably bigger. And so for my final question, I would like to ask you, was it cool the way Boba Fett died in Return of the Jedi?
Solo was one of my favorite ones. So, you mean like...
But I'm talking about Boba Fett, the way he died, was that okay? Or is it completely unacceptable?
I think it was fun.
Okay, you're not the same Star Wars fan as me.
So we opened...
Boba Fett was the coolest character in the first 3 movies, and the way he died was so cheap and lame.
I mean...
that a true Star Wars fan would be mad about that still.
They're making a movie about him.
Well, that's why. Because people like us carried the banner for all these years.
So I don't know the red guy.
Well, may the 4th be with you from now until forever. And with that, I'll open up for Q&A.
All right, so raise your hand, I'll bring the mic. But I want to start out with a question. To really talk about some of the punches in the face you guys have gotten.
Oh,
I mean, you've built fast. You're in your 3rd location. I'm sure there's been a couple of things you guys have really had to overcome. Can you talk about a few of those and how you've gotten over them?
Well, any wrong decision will destroy the company. And there has to be a lot of right decisions to even like survive. So I think we probably have 5 decisions a week that could make or break the company. And you know, there's a lot of kind of gut wrenching that goes along with those, and bad hires.
Oh, that was mine.
Well, you can talk about that one.
No, go ahead.
Early on, people are so important because you're basically building the foundation for the house, and almost like everybody's kind of a linchpin employee in the beginning, and we've made very few, like I would say we made very few mistakes with hires. So I've been in other companies where, so one of our core values is we don't work with smart jerks.
Everyone's humble.
Yeah, humble professionals. Because I've been in companies where like they'll have somebody that's really smart, but the guy's a dickhead, and bad guy's a bad guy. He's bad for culture, and it just like creates this like cancer. But you let it go because he's pretty good at what he does. And one of the things we drew many lines in the sand with KidStrong that I did not like in other companies, and one of them was we only hire unicorns. So by unicorns, I mean like we really only look for people that are like these outliers. And Derek Sivers has this like hell yes or no thing. So like when we look at who we hire, you want like everybody on the team to be like, we got to get that person. And if they're not, they're like, well, we can work with them.
They're really nice.
Yeah. So we've had like maybe two. We've had like two people since the beginning, and we have a lot of people on the team now. Well, for us, a lot. But man, when you get a bad person in there, yeah, it's so brutal. And we had one in Lexington, and then we've had one after that, and it's just. If you are responsible for it and like something goes down, like there's no vacation time, there's no calling in sick, like the kids are still your kids. It's just brutal. So I think some of those have been pretty crappy, and there's always this thought too of like how are we going to get through the next quarter, the next year. There's companies I think that make it. And then once they're there, you can go to work every day, and you can go play golf. We're probably not going to be there for a long time. So there's constant like pressure every day that like something has to happen good for the business. So
Yeah.
you also have to be really diligent about being having a good marriage and being good parents and raising your kids. Why you're trying to do this. But one of the things with us too, we really want our kids to grow up in a business. I really think that's the best education they're ever going to have, is growing up learning how to solve problems and help people. And if you can do that, like those skills are like in high demand regardless of the industry. If somebody knows how to lead and solve problems and help people, like that's really what we want them in. Like when they get to come to work with us, and they get to, one of the really important things for me too is like our daughter gets to see Megan lead. Like she gets to see her mom kind of be a bad A. I'm censoring at the wrong time. But she
that's only a cuss word in Kentucky. You're good here.
All right. She gets to see her mom be a badass and lead things, and I think that's really good for her to see that. And I think it's good for her to see like how we like make this thing professional for people and how we help them. And when they leave, we have to pick up the trash, and we have to clean up, we have to lock up the doors, and there's this ownership, I think, of the problem that comes with that. So they also get to see all like when we're stressed out, but I think it's a really good education for them.
I have a punch in the face. I won't talk as long as he did, but my punch in the face was, and remember, I came from teaching. He had already owned a few businesses. I came from teaching, so I had a boss, and if something happened, I went to my boss, and I was supposed to go to work at 7, and I was allowed to go home at 3:30, and I had lunch at 12 to 12:20, and then I had to go back to work. So coming from that world, my biggest punch in the face, I remember when, I don't know what it was, but something happened, and I was like, well, what's going to happen? Like, what are we supposed to do? What are they going to do? And Matt's like, we are the owners, so we have to do it. Like, if somebody doesn't show up for work, we have to do it. If something doesn't get clean, we have to, you know what I'm saying? Like, we are responsible, and I had never experienced that, because I had a boss, and this time,
There's always a handoff there.
Yeah, and then, at 5 o'clock, it's not, I'm going to go home and I'm going to, stop working. get to hang out with my kids and stop working. I had to go home and take care of my 3 kids, but then, you know, there's a member who's emailing, you know, needing help, or a you know, an employee. You can't turn it off. So it's like so my punch in the face was, it's not a 9 to 5, and you have to work when you have to work. And you know, that's sucky sometimes. So, and I'm still kind of not over it. But it's hard for moms. It is. It's hard for moms.
What types of partnerships? You mentioned that you don't have all the partnerships that you'd like, and you're looking for more. What ones are ones that would have helped you in getting over some of your other punches in the faces? Or what are the partnerships that you really need to go forward that you haven't been able to do yet?
I don't know that partnerships would help us a lot in the beginning. I do think it's very healthy for every business to kind of earn like that initial stage. Like, I actually think it's really good for you not to have any money in the beginning, and to figure things out. And we went through that for probably 2 years.
Yeah.
There were 2 years where we would charge the kids, and then we would buy equipment, and then we would go set it up, and we would clean it, and we tear it down.
Well, we didn't make a paycheck for almost 3 years. We did not pay ourselves for almost 3 years. Everything went back into the, we would have to like piece our floor together. So guys, like, I don't think you understand the ghetto-ness of what we did. I mean, we would have to we didn't even own, like, the building wasn't ours, it was someone else's. So we stored all of our equipment, we had to push it up against a wall, and 30 minutes before class, we'd have to put the floor together. And when I say floor, I don't really mean floor, I just mean like a mat here and there. And then we would do our class, and then we'd have to put it all back up. And we did this every day for almost a year and a half. And then we got these rollout mats, you know, which, you know, now we laugh at even those. But now we appreciate everything that, like, we get now, because we started out, like, with nothing.
So, to answer your question, I think in the beginning, the partnerships that were the most valuable for us were finding people that had kind of been where we had been, and literally just buying them dinner, buying them lunch, reading their book, you know, asking them tons and tons of questions. And I don't think they should give you the time of day unless you've like earned it with like the idea getting some traction, or you've put some time in. I think there are a lot of people that are like, hey, I have this idea, give me like lots of money, I haven't done anything yet. So I think in the beginning it was really good for us to kind of go through that tough stage. And I think going forward, I think the best partnerships for us are either businesses that we complement, either to go in beside or go in places that want to offer a more higher end curriculum for the kids, things like that. But also I think when you bring on partners, you have to really look for people that like support your weaknesses, or whatever direction you're going. You want like somebody that's been there, because a lot of really good business owners and really good people, they really like helping, and they like to be involved in like the cool new business. But you want to make sure that their skill set supports like the things you need. We always, so like our team is kind of like the Avengers. We always joke that it's like the Avengers. Like everyone has a different superpower, because if the Avengers were all Hulk, like it would be over probably pretty quickly, because you could probably just like outsmart him and like the movie's over. So everyone on the team is very different. So I think in the beginning, you just want to like partner with people that don't think like you at all, really. Like they want to go to the top of the same mountain, but they just look at the world differently. And for us, our team is like a smorgasbord of, you know,
Amazing people.
Yeah, they're all amazing, but they're all very different. But we do that on purpose. So, yeah.
Any other questions?
White.
I have more.
Well, no, I was going to say, so I have a funny story about your life skills. So we've been, I don't know if I ever told you guys a story. So we've been with you guys since the beginning.
Is it the airplane?
No,
Oh,
no.
that's a good
but
one.
I don't know the airplane story.
You were on an airplane? And your son?
He always go. Oh, I
Did he?
don't remember that. But anyway, so kids are 5 and 6. They've been going to KidStrong. So since the beginning, and my son was gonna go away from me for a little while, and I go, hey buddy, real quick, before you go, stranger protocol, just real quick. He goes, oh, I look him in the eye, I hold up my hand and say, hi, my name is TJ. I'm like, no. I gotta back that one up. So
Stranger.
yeah.
Stranger
They have no
protocol.
stranger date here anymore.
So I'll make one for you. Do you fear competition?
Fear?
Fear. I fear confusion. I think we fear confusion more than competition. So one thing that I always I look at like Amazon a lot because I think they like set out to solve a problem and they're not really care like how they get there, like whether they want to buy a store and sell you something or they sell it online. And one of the things he always said, and people always ask him about competition because it's very easy to like sell stuff online. And he always has this thing where he's like, we're just obsessed with the customer. And we're just like obsessed with whatever's best for them. And we don't really like worry what other people are doing. We just like, how can we, like we just wake up every day and we're like obsessed with like how we can make the customer so happy and just really drive an amazing experience. So for us, and we get stuff all the time where people try to copy us and we always just like say the same thing. Like, let's just like focus on how do we make what we do better and let that view kind of never change for everyone else. So I do think you have to be smart with not to cause so there's not confusion about what you do. So I would so we're just more focused on
Well, another thing that we talk about is because it is easy to like get your head caught around that, like, well, what if they start doing this? But one thing that we always say is like we're not going to look behind us. Like we have this vision, we're going to keep doing what we do. If we get 10% better every single day, we're going to beat the competition or whatever. But I think if you get too like concerned about what other people are doing, like it takes it off of your business and you can't focus like on what you're doing. So
I also think most people are struggling doing their own thing.
yeah.
So like trying to do what we do when we've spent a lot of time trying to differentiate. And I will say this, one of the things we did early on was we wanted to set out and have like 10 things that we're 10 times better in. Because if a business is like 1 degree off, it's very easy to copy them. But if you look at like a business and they're like 10 times better in 10 categories, it's like okay, we give up. Like they can have it, So that's been our big focus.
So you mentioned scaling, and you're going through your growth. Obviously, you're doing your physical location as well as your online presence. You also mentioned your curricula, as I know is one of the tenets of how you're going to differentiate yourself and the real value that you provide. Are you looking at providing that not just to individual parents, but also to other organizations, like other, let's say, school districts or other organizations that aren't necessarily a franchisee, but that would also be able to use your curriculum?
Well, right now we do after school in schools. So we've been doing that, so that way the kids are already at school. So we work with preschools and stuff. The kids are already there, so it's not like an extra trip. So we've been working with that. We haven't really considered like outsourcing our curriculum to other people.
I think for us is like the core thing for us is we want to give parents the tools to raise like awesome kids. And I think once you get to a point where you might partner with like a school system to like send that stuff, like ABC Mouse is a good example. They'll partner with like a school system and that school system pays for it and then they'll give it to the parents. It's really just like a distribution channel for those guys. We really just care about the parents. Like we want to give parents the tools to succeed and help their kids succeed. And I think if we like hyper focus on that, and like if we can nail that, then I think some of those other things will kind of open up. Yeah, but those partnerships are good. I think when you're in the right place, to do those. But if the school's like not really, and this is where like these partnerships have to make sense. If the school's not, like, why are they pushing it?
Yeah.
You know, because I know like one of our previous companies, we were always like dumbfounded with like box tops. Like these schools would like push, like only buy box top, like these cereals that have box tops. So parents would go spend, and if you do this, I apologize. They would go spend like $3 more for a box to give the school something that was worth like a quarter of a penny, versus just how about you just shave that, give them a nickel, and like just buy like the regular. Like we couldn't figure it out, but the schools would get funding based on that, so the schools were like pushing it. So I think there has to be like a good alignment there, or there's no really reason for them to do it.
Yeah, it has to make sense.
Yeah.
So when you started, did you feel that you were doing this because it was a missing niche, but were you looking to be profitable, or were you looking to just create an organization like that you would bring your children to? Like, were you thinking of profitability as a business, or did you think of it, doesn't matter if it?
When we first opened, I can only speak for myself, I can't speak for him. When we first opened, we weren't thinking of profitability.
We did build it to be I think we weren't trying to make money in the beginning.
Yeah.
Right, and we knew that we weren't going to make money for a while.
Well, if so, we would have like taken money.
Yeah.
Like we wanted to see if it would work first. Like what we want something that other parents wanted. You know, that's where.
And in my other job, I have a lot of experience working with nonprofits, and it's just, man, it's a tough road when like you depend on donations. And when you see companies that are able to create a lot of like wealth and then give, like Bill Gates has given billions and billions and billions of dollars. So long story short, we definitely want to be a profitable company because it allows us to attract amazing people and pay them.
She's talking about the beginning.
Yeah, but our goal is always to be profitable and really like create this amazing career for people that want to work with kids. And to do that, you have to be a good business that makes money. If it's just all like, we'll just help the kids and we'll not pay the electricity bill and we won't like charge for it, then you don't really give these awesome people like a career, you know? Like we want to attract as many people that want to work with kids as possible and like make all their career dreams come true.
I think he went into it different than me. Maybe because he had owned businesses, but it wasn't until we got like 50 members that were like calling saying, I want to pay for this, that like something clicked for me. Like, oh my gosh.
We charged from the beginning.
Yeah, we charged